Audrie Taylor Pott was born on May 27, 1997, in California. She was 15 years old and attended Saratoga High School. On September 3, 2012, Audrie went to a party with about 10 other teenagers where she had been drinking. A few kids had stolen rum and an adult had bought them vodka. Once she was drunk, she was dragged upstairs and into a bedroom. 3 or more teenagers sexually assaulted her in that room. Markers were then used to draw and write on her body, and photos were taken, which were distributed through social media and MMS. In the following days after, Audrie was bullied by a majority of her high school students who had seen the photos that were circulating, and she was the only one who hadn't seen the photos. On September 12, 2012, she had committed suicide by hanging herself in the shower 9 days after the sexual assault. In April 2013, 3 16-year-old boys were arrested in Northern California on suspicion of sexual battery to Audrie. Her parents filed a lawsuit against the 3 teenagers, and in July 2013, they added a 15-year-old girl as a defendant in the suit, alleging she was present during the assault and had later lied about it to help cover it up. She tried in vain to find out what had happened, Facebook messaging all her friends, saying that she believed everyone knows and that she had a reputation for the night, but she didn't remember anything. She wrote, "My life is over." The 3 teenagers eventually admitted in juvenile court to sexually assaulting and possessing photos of Audrie, which were both felonies. 2 of the 3 received 30-day sentences to be served on weekends. The other was sentenced to 45 consecutive days. Due to their ages and being minors at the time of the incident, the 3 teenagers were not at first publicly identified. The Pott family had been outraged by what they considered light sentences imposed on the accused teens, and that they showed no remorse. They filed the wrongful death lawsuit in an attempt to hold them more accountable for the crime that they had committed. Settling the case means that a dozen Saratoga High School teenagers who either attended that party or had seen the photos of Audrie afterwards wouldn't have to testify in court. After their daughter's death, Sheila Pott and Larry Pott and his second wife, Lisa Pott, had established the Audrie Pott Foundation and championed that passage of Audrie's Law, which would essentially toughen penalties against California juveniles accused of similar crime. In court for the settlement, along with individual verbal apologies, 2 teens agreed to a printed apology that was included in the settlement. In it, they said they were sorry, that we said things that made it seem Audrie invited or encouraged these acts. We admit that we committed these acts and shared inappropriate images of Audrie to others. I apologize for initially denying these acts. They admitted Audrie was unconscious at the time and did not consent to what we did. I apologize for false rumors about Audrie that served to shame and humiliate her. She did not deserve, nor would any human being deserve, what we put Audrie through. She was a good and principled person who did not deserve what had happened to her. As part of the settlement, 2 of the boys were required to verbally apologize in open court, admit again to the sexual assault, admit to the role in the death of Audrie Pott, agree to being filmed for a 45-minute interview in a documentary, pay a combined $950,000, support the petition for an honorary diploma for Audrie, and give 10 presentations on sexual assault and sexting. The documentary is called Audrie and Daisy. It features both their stories of sexual abuse and the abuse and cyberbullying that came after that. In the documentary, there are also a couple more stories about other survivors that came forward. Audrie Daisy Coleman was born on March 30th, 1997 in Albany, Missouri. She was born to Melinda, a veterinarian, and Michael, a physician. She had 3 brothers, and in 2009, Michael, Daisy, and one of her brothers were traveling in a car to watch another one of her brothers compete in a wrestling tournament, but the car struck black ice and went into a ravine, killing her father. After his death, Daisy and the rest of the family moved to Maryville, Missouri. In January 2012, a 17-year-old boy, Matthew Barnett, was arrested for the sexual assault of Daisy, who was 14, while she was intoxicated. A 15-year-old boy was also accused of doing the same to Daisy's 13-year-old friend, Paige Parkhurst, and a third boy admitted to recording the assault on his cell phone. Daisy and her best friend Paige Parkhurst were drinking for the first time in her bedroom while Charlie, her older brother, had gone to bed. Matthew Barnett was Charlie's friend, and he started texting Daisy to see if she wanted to come over and drink with them and 3 other boys. Those other boys were also her older brother Charlie's friends. Daisy was a freshman, and they decided to sneak out to meet them. Matthew picked them both up and they snuck in through his basement window. A total of 5 guys were there, including Matthew, Cole Forney, Nick Gramautis, Jordan Zetch, and a younger friend of theirs that had taken Paige into Matthew's younger sister's bedroom as soon as they got there. Daisy then got challenged to drink from a cup to show how tough she is, and she was being egged on, so she drank from that cup and more from another bottle. The last thing she remembered of that night was saying something really loud about a dog that ran up the couch and sat on her lap, and she was then told to quiet down. Paige, who was in the other room with another boy, kept being touched by him, and she told him no several times, but he sexually assaulted her that night. He was 15 years old and Paige was only 13. The boy went to juvenile court and the judge had asked him, "Did you sexually assault Paige?" He said yes. The judge asked him, "Was she intoxicated?" He said yes. "Did she tell you no?" He said yes. Out of all of them, he was the only one who actually admitted it firsthand. According to Paige, they all dragged Daisy into the car out of the basement window, and they were scared of how they were going to get them back into the house without Daisy's brothers waking up. They then decided to stay in the car and wait until she sobered up. They told Paige to go inside and they will wait with her, and she went and blacked out. Melinda found Daisy outside laying in the yard at around 5 in the morning. She was taken to hospital and she was quite hazy and confused when she spoke to the police. Charlie found her phone and went through it. The first person on it was Matthew Barnett. They were all his friends and no one told him a thing. He asked Nick. He drove to his house and Nick never answered any of his texts or his calls. Charlie then told his mother to call the police. In Matthew's police interrogation, he said Daisy had told him that she was 14. He also said that Paige looked about 14 as well. He went on further to say that Daisy texted him asking to hang out instead of him texting her. In Nick's police interrogation, he talked about a video that was made of the sexual assault. It was about 5 to 10 seconds long, and Jordan Zetch had made the video. Nick said he deleted the video, but all of them did watch it. A massive controversy came to light in 2013 when the county prosecutor dropped the felonies and misdemeanor charges against the first boy, Matthew Barnett, who was related to an influential former state representative, and the Nottoway County prosecutor, Richard Rice, dropped the felony of sexual exploitation charge against the third boy. He said he believed he could not prove any of the charges beyond a reasonable doubt, and that it was the right decision to dismiss them. Outrage ensued in online communities, including Anonymous, when the story surrounding the case was revisited in October 2013. A reporter from the New Republic, Michael Schaefer, described Maryville, Missouri as a lawless hellhole. In 2014, a special prosecutor, Jean, was put in charge to reinvestigate the case. Matthew Barnett pleaded guilty to misdemeanor second-degree endangerment of the welfare of a child for leaving her outside her home, and was sentenced to 4 months in jail, but that was suspended in favor of 2 years of probation. Jean said that there was insufficient evidence in regards to charging him with sexual assault. The documentary, Audrie and Daisy, entails the outcomes through time, social media, court documents, and the investigations made by the police. Daisy and her family were filmed for over 2 years as they faced trauma of her assault and the hostile reaction of her own community. It also featured Maryville Sheriff Darren White and Maryville Mayor Jim Fall, with the sheriff say girls have as much culpability in cases like Daisy's. He went on to say that there is a need for attention, especially for young girls, for them to be pretty, to be liked, to be the popular one. It's how our society works. He then had the nerve to continue and say that adding the word rape into this case, into this situation, was blowing it all out of proportion, and that had not happened in this case. Everyone was just adding that word in there, And in Missouri, at that age, you can have consensual sex. The documentary was released on September 23rd, 2016. After the sexual assault, Daisy had attempted suicide on several occasions. She became a daily target of bullying, prompting the family to move from Maryville back to Albany because their home had been set on fire, and in Albany they still had their old home. In June 2018, her younger brother Tristan died in a car accident at 19 years old. Daisy Coleman co-founded a non-profit organization which was aimed at ending sexual assaults in school called Safe Bay before anyone else. She and her older brother Charlie advocated nationwide for sexual assault survivors. She was named as one of the 13 most fearless teens of 2013 by HuffPost. She worked as a tattoo artist in June 2018 after relocating to Colorado Springs. She worked on a second film project called Saving Daisy, which focused on her recovery process, PTSD, and the use of CBD and EMDR therapy. Catherine Daisy Coleman died by suicide on August 4, 2020 at the age of 23. On December 6, 2020, her mother Melinda also died by suicide. According to the Audrie Pott Foundation page on Facebook, the names of the 3 teens were released for public knowledge. Posted May 26, 2016, the teens were Andrew Bronson Barner, name changed from Bronson Barner, Nicholas Cyrus Gaffuri, name changed from Safa Gaffuri, and Vince Rostiano. Let me know what you thought of this case down in the comments below, and I will see you for the next one.